far. We have a lot of good steak places.
All right, Ann, we're live now. We might as well start out because we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, that's South Dakota. Ann, I'm going to put you on default mute until you figure out how to knock it off with that banging of the microphone.
I'm not banging the microphone. I'm sitting.
No. Whatever you're doing, you're bouncing the table or something. I'm going to mute you, or you're going to have to unmute yourself, okay?
Okay.
All right, good.
I'm going to go get a glass of water.
Whoa! It just left.
Did you get in the water?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so you're going off to South Dakota?
Yes. So, got the agenda. Mount Rushmore, going to an alpaca farm. The hell here. Reptile Garden, Keystone, Wind Cave, Mammoths, a lot of things, you know, that you and I talked about. Deadwood, lead, spearfish, Nemo. Did I tell you got screwed out of the nuclear missile site in Phillips?
Wait, how did you get, how? It's right there off the interstate.
No, the registration for it. So you go online and they apparently take 18 people a day, so 3 tours of 6, and I did it well in advance, and it looked like I had the 2 kids and the 2 adults in the cart, and I checked out, and then it only had the 2 kids. So I called the next day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there were only 2 spots open." I'm like, "But your website had 4," and I put them in the cart, and then the lady's like, "There's nothing I can do." Like, she totally got defensive, and then she's like, "I'm like, well, there's nothing else open." I'm like, and then she's trying to upsell me. I can get you like things to other places. Do you want to go to Mount Rushmore? I'm like, I've got things covered. Like, you've been unhelpful enough. You can still come out here. I'm like, no.
I'm surprised that place is even booked. It's just it's a hole in a field. And it's right. I mean, you could even still, you know, it's like, technically you don't have to pay to see Mount Rushmore because you can see it from kind of all over the Black Hills.
Yeah.
It's only if you really want to go right up to the park itself. But as you're driving up, there's a little pull off where a lot of people get in car accidents, by the way. A lot of motorcycles. I saw one more. It's great when you just see these boneheaded, not to delve too much into motorcycle background, but you either are a motorcyclist or you're a rookie new banker who just bought your Harley. There's not a scratch of dust on it. You have matching Ma and Pa helmets. And I hate to say it, I hope those people crash because they cause so many crashes. And like a blessing from God himself, I was coming down this road. You'll be going up it. I was coming down from Mount Rushmore. And there's this little pull-off that you can pull off. And if you're smart and wise about it, you can see Mount Rushmore for free. And it's a nice thing. And it's well-to-do. But I saw old Ma and Pa Tilly tip their, Lord knows, $25,000 Harley right in the middle of this busy highway.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, he was trying to do a U-turn out of it, and he misjudged the cars and freaked out and dumped. And I just went right past, laughing my ass off because those people should not be out riding, especially during the Sturgis rally.
You know, in Wisconsin, they're doing the interstate from Madison down to the border, Illinois border. And they changed it this week from 70 to 55 because they were averaging like 5 to 8 accidents a day. It's and at 70, they didn't have shoulders. They would take those concrete boundary things, you know, which are about, I don't know, whatever the hell, about 5 feet long and 2 feet high. And then you just move them around. And then they put those in. So there were like no shoulders and everybody's like flying at 75, 80 miles an hour. So they had to shut it down because, I mean, people were just nonstop crashing. And plus it was so piss poorly marked. Like you never knew. All of a sudden, hey, lane change ahead or new traffic pattern. It's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, it's like it's a goddamn circus ride.
Was this Harley Davidson? I thought it was like a Milwaukee ride they did. Is this something separate?
No. I'm just talking the interstate. Just they're doing, you know, they're updating the interstate. They're making it wider and they're doing new overpasses. So in Wisconsin, from Madison all the way down to like Rockford, the interstate is completely ripped up. I mean, completely ripped up.
Really?
Yeah. And so like, and then they put the lines on, like the temporary lines, but then they really can't remove those. There's new lines. So then you're driving down and it's like 10 lines on. So I'm like, where in the hell's the lane, for Christ's sakes?
Right. You see the shadow of the old lines.
Yeah, you see,
yeah,
and then and at night you might as well just, I mean, it is a nightmare. And then it fucks with the Garmin too, because they change the lane stuff, so the Garmin will quickly like, come on, you're driving the wrong way. I'm like, shut the hell up. I'm fine. You don't say that to me when I'm driving.
I remember in the olden days, we didn't have Garmin. We had those big, thick Atlas books where you had to find the grid. You'd have to look up in the index of the street, and then you page D4. And I remember I still have maps. A lot of people laugh at me like, "What do you have a map?"
I've got a whole map system. I'll take this out. I had one of the first Garmin's, and I got rid of it like a year or two ago because the thing would take so damn long to try to calculate out even the easiest route. It was just that antiquated, where it just like I was just like, dude, it was like the 95-year-old guy giving you directions. I'm like, I'm already past that. I'm past that.
Well, I just save an atlas and maps, because if the internet ever goes out, or there's those maps are going to become valuable. People laugh at me like, "Oh, what do you got a map? What do you use standard transmit?" It's like, well, you're really going to want this map to know where you are in case the satellites go out. Oh, there's war or something like that. It'd be nice to know where there's a river or a bridge or another town coming up.
That's crazy talk, Aaron.
I know.
I see Michael's there. Hey, I think DT is there. Mike.
Yes, I am. Hello. Do you hear me?
DT.
DT, just so you know, I downloaded all of the podcasts that you had before you stopped making podcasts.
Before I quit?
Foolishly, I might add.
I quit. Hashtag small I quit. That's actually what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about quitting. This has been the year of quitting for me.
Why?
There's more quitting coming up.
That's a great
week.
It's my show, but what the hell? Let's just talk about what you want.
And it's just muted everybody.
Hey, you said you wanted to just react to people.
Oh my god! What the hell?
What the? Is that your soundtrack?
No, that was me. I forgot to silence my cell phone. Sorry.
But you mute me. Okay.
Hold it.
And gets muted.
All right. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid. And now we got the circus and pony show going on here. Everybody turn off your fucking phones. Everybody not make dishes.
Here's the problem is I abandoned the iPhone for a kick-ass Android, and I can't find the freaking mute switch on it.
What do you have? An iPhone?
Nah, I got so sick of Apple, I got rid of the iPhone. I just picked up a new Samsung, the Galaxy S9.
I've got it.
It's pretty awesome.
Nice. Very nice.
Man, I've been thinking about getting rid of the iPhone for years, and I should have done it a long time ago because this Android shit is so much better.
Great. The camera's awesome on that thing. Great move, man.
Yeah.
And you've only given a leftist organization how many tens of thousands of dollars worth of of money over the years buying Apple products?
Yeah, well, for a while there, when Jobs was running the show, this shit actually worked, and it was actually kind of elegant and nice. Now it just looks pretty, but it doesn't work and it sucks. So, yeah.
Well, doesn't Apple have built-in obsolescence?
Yeah, they do.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes, they do.
Well, I mean, it defeats the whole point. I mean, the way it's kind of like getting their customer base hooked on a drug, their business model. I mean, in one sense, it's brilliant, but it's so unethical. I would never buy their products.
I kept on updating my iOS on my iPad, thinking it would solve the problem every time, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And now it's basically unusable. So, and I hardly use my iPad for anything. And so, yeah, the planned obsolescence is a real thing. It pisses me off.
Well, they had a couple months ago, I think, didn't Apple purposely lower everybody's battery power?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They claimed it was to stop some kind of an issue from occurring. But it's like, yeah, really? Okay, well, if the issue occurs, you just fix it. I mean, yeah, it's dishonest.
I have the make of mine is, I think, an LG. I mean, it's an Android OS, but it's an LG, and that's what I've been using. I mean, that not the same phone, but the same make for 6 years.
Yeah.
You've had the same phone for 6 years?
No. I've been just upgrading the LG, the make LG. It's like let's say I keep buying, let's say, a Honda, but not the same car. Just the same, trade it in, move up.
Well, I will say one thing about Apple is I use Mac for my writing because some of the best writing tools out there are on Mac. And for a while there, I was all Apple because I went insane for a few years. But anyway, but I will say the MacBook Pro that I got back in 2013, 2014 is still kick-ass running. It's still super fast, still super, does everything I need, and had never had any issues with it. I can't speak for their newer models because I hear they all suck. When this one dies, maybe I'll just get a mini. I'm pretty much moving everything since the whole, in addition to the whole Android thing, I got myself a PC, moving everything over onto it, and I think the only thing I'm using Mac for anymore is writing and podcast video stuff. But it's like, man, it's the years of doing that kind of are eating at me right now.
I'm just running out of companies I can buy stuff from that aren't outright rank propagandists for the Democrat Party or this cause or that cause, or have to go and parade their social justice warrior virtue signaling credentials. I just want my freaking coffee and I want a freaking phone. That's it.
Freaking A, man. You made a Patreon account immediately before, a few months ago, they kicked a bunch of people off Patreon because they weren't politically correct, rather. And they just did a few more again just in the last few weeks. And you got a Patreon account just when I decided, fuck it, I'm done with them. I canceled all the subscriptions that I'm helping people out with from there, and I'm done with them because they're supposed to be a neutral platform, but at the same time they're saying, yeah, but we don't like what you say, so you can't be on here. Well, screw yourself, go away.
Yeah, but
you got to be careful of that wrong think, man.
I've given up worrying too much about, like, if it comes to coffee, at least coffee, that's something I don't get. I do not understand how the soccer moms with the Trump or the Romney bumper sticker are all lining up at the Starbucks drive-thru. You have so many other options. That is not a monopolistic or oligopolistic market. But when you get to, say, Patreon, at least there you have PayPal. But the whole market, nobody is going to PayPal, even though it's cheaper and better. It's like Betamax versus whatever, VHS. So as much as I try to promote to get people, hey, donate to PayPal, donate to PayPal, people didn't. Everyone does Patreon, even though they take 10%.
Yeah, there's another thing out there called Free Starter, which has a subscription model thing too.
Does PayPal have a subscription model, or could they start one? I mean, if I were them, that's what I'd do.
They do, but here's what I'm saying is when it comes to these donations and it comes to a Patreon or a PayPal, there are multiple competitors. And now that Michael mentioned Freestar, I'm going to look that up. It's getting the behavior of people to avail themselves of all the different competitors in that market. And for whatever reason, it could be marketing, it could just be ease, it could be laziness on the part of people. The vast majority of people go through Patreon. So I'll take a look at this Free Starter, but I've had PayPal up for 7-8 years now. Where it's like, hey, yeah, make a donation, and a couple donations here and there. Patreon, I'm already up to like $25 or $26 now a month.
Yeah, true. The other option, of course, it probably wouldn't work for you. Is I sell my books through my website in addition to other places. I use WooCommerce for that, which is a WordPress plugin. And the ebooks get delivered through a service called BookFunnel, which links directly to my WooCommerce site. And then people buy it and they get an email from BookFunnel. And BookFunnel is this kick-ass thing where they will integrate with your Kindle or other things and send it straight to the person's Kindle or iPad or their computer or whatever. And it's nice and easy. And then I make all the money. But WooCommerce also has a subscription model. Of course, you have to have a self-hosted WordPress site and the WooCommerce plugin put all in there, and I don't. Apparently, you probably don't want to deal with that. But if you did, that would be another option for you.
I got something up this Free Starter thing, and then what else? There's some super chat alternative. What was it? Matt Forney was talking about it. It almost becomes more work trying to keep up with all these bleeping. You can't even call it social media, online internet services that help accentuate the social media. After a while, it's like, hey, dude, you're not even making content anymore. You're dealing with this. You're fucking around with that. You're tweaking this. You're installing this. You're adding that, etc. And it's like, I don't know, Doc. You weren't around. Did you ever have a? I know you have like a website and a blog now, but how long have you had your blog?
I've had the blog since I started the podcast about a year and a half ago. I was blogging actually about 10 years ago, but then I just gave it up. But every time I do a podcast, I do a corresponding blog post to go with it. So I guess I've done 70. So, but I haven't done anything outside. I write articles, for magazines and things like that. But yeah.
But it's in conjunction with your podcast. I'm talking back in the days when the bandwidth was so slow, there was no ability to podcast. There certainly was no ability to do video.
Yeah, I did. It's still out there somewhere. It was I was teaching adjunct, which I still do, and I think is an awesome way to make like a side income. I never did it like as a full-time job. And
you have to be a hooker if you do that, right?
Yeah, according to Aaron's podcast, right? But yes, I was, and then it was something called like, adjunct tips or whatever. And it did have a following maybe like 12 years ago on Blogspot. And then I just stopped, but it was tips of like how to set up your class and how to like keep people engaged and shortcuts on, grading and some other stuff. But then I don't know, I just stopped doing it because I wasn't making any money off of it. And I just kind of went into other things. I mean, off of that, but I was, as far as like the adjunct stuff, and sometime I think this will be a good show to talk about different ways to have income streams, because I'm telling you, I've taught adjunct since 2013. And Aaron, I know you did ballroom dancing, plus you have your courses in finances.
I used to teach. I was an adjunct at one time too. I used to teach.
Well, just not to interrupt, but someone actually in the chat asked, "What happened to the super chats, Aaron? You don't have them on."
Well, they're not. That's because this site is older brother. And the other site, my traditional site, Aaron Clary, that is qualified. That's monetized. You need to have a certain amount of minutes viewed. So this current YouTube channel, which I'm trying to build up, is not yet eligible for super chats.
Okay, good. All right, I just wanted to clear that
if they
up.
Want, they go to Patreon or PayPal or whatever. They can throw their money there. But yeah, super chats won't be enabled for, I estimate, about a month. But I'll let everybody know. But anyway, so all right, so Doc, you said at one time you had yourself a blog, but you're an adjunct, and that's what you used it for primarily. Yeah,
just to kind of connect up with other adjuncts, and at that time I was trying to expand to see if other two-year colleges or universities would be interested in some of the stuff I was doing. So I'm like, hey, I'm also doing this blog you could check out, but I really never needed to do that because I just kind of branched out with the university I was primarily working with.
Well, so you quit. You're a quitter.
No.
I'm so joking. Okay, all right, everybody stop piling up. Stop piling up. I was just joking.
My question, my dying question before we get going though, right now, DT, what is the percentage that Windows 10 is occupying on your machine?
Right
is
now?
it 99 or 94?
No, I disabled Windows Update again. I don't know if it automatically enabled again, but
it probably will.
Here, I'll check it out here. Let's see. Let's see.
Let's get back to a podcast of Aaron.
We're only at 13%.
Hey, all right. Yes.
DT's bipolar computer.
Yeah. Yeah, it had to be Windows Update. I mean, you disable that motherfucker and it'll turn on. I mean, I don't know if it like automatically crashes your computer so that everything resets. I don't know what the hell. It's constantly coming back on again.
DT, I'm convinced that there are some people who are just technologically cursed. And maybe that's you. I mean, my ex-mother-in-law and my ex-wife are the same way. They touch the computer just they have issues on their computers that I've never had and have no idea how it happened. And sounds like you're the same thing, man. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you guys were talking about smartphones and stuff. I got a dumb phone. I've never had a smartphone. I just want a phone. And, I text Clary, and it's very short sentences, right, Clary?
They are, yes.
Because it takes a very long time. 1, 2, 2.
Every text that DT's ever sent me. No, I don't want to have fun. No, I want to mope and be at home. No, I don't want to get dinner. It's basically it's like he's a hot 23-year-old girl. It's just no.
In fairness, Aaron, his wife and kids are much better looking and more charming than you are.
They are. They're more fun than me too.
Kingswood.
So hey,
well, seriously though, I mean, there are very few people I would want to hang out with more than my kids. Sorry, I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Well, that's the way it
kids
should
are
be.
pretty awesome.
And I like hanging out with you, AC. Then that should be, you should be like, wow, he'd rather sometimes spend time with me than his own kids. Awesome.
No, I was when we went golfing that one time. I was shocked. I mean, I think you even called me like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Does his wife have a gun to his head? Does she really want him out of the house? What's going on here?"
No, my family was gone for the day. So.
Well, that's right. They were gone. Then, like every other guy, just like every other guy, when his girlfriend leaves him, "Hey guys, what are you doing? Where the fuck have you been the past 2 years?"
Hey, I show up.
Well, you didn't show up to the house paid off party.
No,
I flew from California for that.
I hate Minneapolis. I hate. You know how I think about spending money in these frickin' liberal hellholes? I hate it.
That's why I had it in the WBL. So I did have. You're right. I take it back. We did.
No, you were on the island.
Yeah, we went to Nicollet Island, and you're right. We did do that for the thing. But then the festivities, we went on the boat in White Bear Lake, and we gallivanted about. But that's right. No, I understand. You're a father.
Hey, if you do the pumpkin thing again, I'm in. We like that.
We will. Yeah, that pumpkin thing, the pumpkin patch. All right. Hang on, DT. I need to know, what was your story about quitting?
Oh, this is just the year of quitting, and the cliche is winners never quit and quitters never win, right? But then there's the other statement that basically says sometimes the only way to win is to not play the game, and this year I've quit the podcast. I quit my hair. I cut my hair.
You did.
Yeah, cut my hair. So I'm no longer Snake Plissken anymore. I'm his, I don't know, stepbrother Dirk, maybe. I don't know.
Dirk the accountant.
Yeah, and I'm probably this week's going to be a busy week. I'm probably going to quit my job, and I'm probably going to quit the local government board that I serve on.
Wow.
And so there's lots of quitting going on, and it's interesting. My Mrs. DT said that I've been in a really good mood lately, and it's like, and quitting on Minnesota too. I might quit on Minnesota eventually. Sick of living here, so it's just been the year of quitting, and I just feel like all these things that I've felt are responsibilities or obligations are just kind of being taken away, and almost naturally, and it's like I have no choice almost. If I have any self-respect, I have to do it. So. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, as far as the quitters never win and winners never quit. But I think I wish more people would quit these days, and like real simple things like not going to Target, not going to Starbucks. I mean, quit on these fucking people.
Well, I'll tell you what, DT, you want to be really happy? Do what I do and quit Facebook. I deleted my account a month ago. Yep. Holy cow! It's so much happier without that crap.
I quit that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't been on Facebook in 5 years.
I envy you guys because I need it for my company. Like if I had the choice, I wouldn't have Twitter or Facebook or anything. But unfortunately, I need it for my profession. But what I ended up doing is I gave up running and instead have switched to hiking and golf. And there's nothing wrong with quitting. Absolutely nothing wrong, especially when it's defeatist. Like I remember probably the worst thing I ever did that cost me a lot was I kept trying at banking when if I had just stopped after the first try and not, this is bad luck. And then the second try, this is bad luck too. I've got two bad banks and I realized that all the banks were bad. I would have been so far ahead, but yeah, this winners never quit. No. Smart winners quit if the battle's not winnable, and you go redeploy your resources elsewhere.
Right. Exactly. And in my case, it's it's salary review time at the company that I work at. And when I started working there part-time, it was sort of for shits and giggles. It was something, with my kids going back to school, it was like I was sort of bored, and I'm like, well, I'd like to actually have some adult conversation, put these engineering skills to use. And so I just kind of, pay me this and I'll be fine. And if I had known that that was going to be like the starting point and everything would be based on that, even when I got my license up and running again, and showed commitment, and showed up at the office and all those kinds of things, that they would still use that kind of shits and giggles starting point to for my raise. I'm finding I'm looking for other work, and I'm finding that I am being paid what people fresh out of college who are not professional engineers, no experience at all, are getting paid. And it's like, you seriously, you're not going to adjust me now, now that I'm all reestablished, and you're not going to treat me, you're not going to give me the market rate. See you later. That's what I think is going to happen. So
are they saying, or do you predict it saying like, well, this is the rule and we have to follow the rule that we
they send out this table and it says 0% raise needs improvement, 2 to 4% raise, you're meeting expectations, or maybe it was even 0 to 2, and then 2 to 6% raise, you are exceeding expectations, and 6%, I guess, is maximum. And it would take me, I figured it out, it would take me at least, if they gave me a 10% raise, it would take 6 years for me to get where I should be. And so it's just like, I have no future here. If you're going to treat me like this, you're sort of forcing my hand. I have to quit. So, my time's worth it. I'd rather spend the summer with my kids,
What's the inflation rate right now?
1.8 to 2%, 1.5 to 2%, nothing fancy.
Okay, so if you're exceeding expectations, then you get to keep up with inflation.
Exactly. Well, and this is consulting work, and basically consultants, once they've got you, and they don't. Any advice I would give to people, it's like Aaron was just talking about. You've got to move around. You've got to. If it's not working out one spot, and even if it is working out, always look for another opportunity elsewhere, because that's the only way you're going to get ahead, is if you have zero loyalty to the company that you're working for.
Yeah, you got to be a whore. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you guys all saw Office Space. Okay, let me ask, who has not seen Office Space? Okay, good. You can all continue to be my friends. Very good.
Well, frankly, if you haven't seen Office Space, you need to leave the country.
Yeah. But Office Space, I mean, even though it's a movie, I mean, it teaches you just got to treat your employers like shit, because that's the only thing they respond to. It's kind of akin to women. You don't kiss their ass. You don't bow down. Well, what can I do? What can I do? No, fuck you, pay me. And I think that's why I find it kind of funny. I said, what, are they going to cite some kind of rule? And you say, yeah. I bet you could blast through that rule and say, no, dude, you got to do this. At least do this. What is the hourly rate? You don't have to tell us maybe, but is there an hourly rate that would make it worth your while to like kind of forego having the summer with your kids? Like, $100 enough?
Yeah, I figured it out. I figured out what daycare basically costs, because I'm working part-time so that I, get the kids on the bus in the morning, go to work, come back, get the kids off the bus. It's like they didn't even know I was gone, right? And so that's worked out really well. But if I'm going to up my hours or work during the summer, basically I need about about $8 to $10 an hour extra to make it worthwhile from a daycare standpoint. And that was the math that I did when I quit working and became a stay-at-home dad in the first place after the birth of my first child. Is that you do the math and it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all to, to slave away to have somebody else raise your kids. So there is, and coincidentally, that is what I should be getting paid. And maybe that's why the dollar amount felt right for me when I first requested that amount of money, is that, if I don't have to pay for daycare and this is just what I'm making, it feels right. But when you take that into account, it's like $8 to $10 an hour extra.
I think you should ask for $12 to $15 an hour. I mean, really, if you're willing to go for broke, like, no, you're going to bring me up just to make them realize that they're not gods.
Well, I've already asked for it. The thing is that the whole salary review process, you put out what you think, this is what I expect. And then, so in my case, the ground has been laid by my manager that, well, you can't ask for that much all at once and blah, 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 blah. And so I think it's just going to be strategically, I think the best way I can handle it is, oh, that's my raise. Okay, here's my 2 weeks. We can talk again at the end of summer if you're still interested. Right. Or I might find a better gig. See you later. So,
yeah,
I figured you might like that. The whole quitting thing with the bosses, and this place I work, I just people just show up, plug into the computer, put their headphones on, work for 8 hours, and leave. And there are times where I'm there and there's zero interaction. It's just I don't get it. I don't get why people subject themselves to that shit. It's because they got debts, because they got a mortgage, because they're buying shit they don't need with money they don't have. And I have never done that. Like I said, I got a dumb phone. All my appliances I've fixed. I don't get rid of them. I try to fix them. There are ways to make this thing work for you. And Aaron knows this, of course. I mean, he's sort of the king of minimalism, but even people with kids, you can do it. We lived on one salary. My wife makes good money, but I mean, not back then. It wasn't astronomically good, and we still made it work. And there were 2-parent households that were making more than her, and they weren't making it work. So
don't even get me started. Back in the day, because in banking you get everybody's income statement. I'm sorry, not income statement, tax return. Right. But it's effectively their income statement. And I saw a couple of those bringing in over $300,000 a year. They only had 2 kids, and they still couldn't make it go because they had to have this luxury thing and that luxury thing. Every kid had to be in every sport and activity. We all have to go to Disneyland. We all have to fly first class. Yeah, no, it's totally right. But see, that's the other thing with minimalism is you can make more money. That's why I said you should ask for what you want and walk because you don't need it. You absolutely don't need it.
Yeah. So
I have a friend of mine. Sorry to interrupt, but I have a friend of mine that's a doctor, and he never told me exactly what he makes, but it's in the area of 300 grand. He has 3 kids and a wife, and this guy's struggling. I mean, he has to work extra shifts in the ER just to keep up because, like you said, his kids are like in soccer and they go to private school, and his wife wanted the house they had was perfectly fine, but it was like kind of like track housing, kind of those developments. Like, they just built they have 3 models and they just build them over and over again. And she wanted a special house. So he upgraded to that. And he's got like all the sports packages for, satellite TV and it's just crazy the way this guy spends money. And it's not that he's like into, he's not a kind of guy who's like trying to look cool or anything. It's just he just got caught up in that. He never actually learned how to be minimalist at all. And I think, Aaron, you and I should collaborate in a book, an updated version of Bachelor Pad Economics, like minimalism for the modern age or something.
Yeah, that'd take work and effort, and then I couldn't golf as much. I couldn't fight scorpions. I couldn't ride down to Chicago to Pastoran on the crappy highways en route, and I'll say hi to Dr. Perodin over in Portage.
That's a good point, though, John, in that it doesn't have to be luxury items. I mean, it can be real simple stuff, and it all adds up. Yeah. And so I would say that's a good example for people, because I think most people go, well, I'm not going on vacations to Florida every year, and they'll like justify their own spending when they're having trouble. Yeah.
He does do the vacation thing, and if you're you're flying on a plane and you got 3 kids, this is awfully expensive.
That's a big expense, yeah.
Right.
Well, DT, let me ask you, and I guess I could now I think about it. Michael, you're retired and you could stay at home with your kids. Doc, don't you work from home primarily? I know you ship out and go do things, but do you work from home mainly?
Yeah, primarily. And actually, we were having to talk, my wife and I, of how long before we kind of go into full retirement, because really I can pick and choose a lot of what I do with the expert witness work, and that's where I can kind of tell I can put it out there really and just say, here's what it's going to cost, and they'll either say yes or no. And I've gotten really bold on that lately. Like I was kind of more playing the mark, and I'll just be like, no, this is the non-refundable retainer. Either you take it or you don't. And so yeah, I've gotten that control, and we saved. And Aaron, kind of like you mentioned, in an earlier older brother, that when I was, and probably most of us, like when I was young, I'm talking like 10, 12, 14 years old. I mean, I was taking out bank CDs, working at the concrete factory, hustling, mowing lawns, working at the pool part-time, and like just doing everything. And I didn't have anything fancy. And my grandfather sold me like his car, and he kind of like sold it to me, and then I had all these goddamn repairs to do to it. Like Grandpa's like, "Hey, it's a great car," and then I'm like, "What? Hey, Grandpa, why doesn't it shut off anymore?
It'll build character.
Now. It's yours now."
But that's like the classic. I was working at the concrete factory, and then we went and see the Badgers play, and then my grandmother sold me a car for a nickel.
I went to see the Badgers. I mean, honestly, when I was a kid, I think we went to one Brewers game, and and that was out in the outfield. County stadium, so your seats were like $4, and then and we could drive there and back in the same day. But we didn't do family vacations. The family vacation, guys, we took, my brother and I, my dad took the pickup truck with the topper, the Chevy, whatever the hell it was, and put like a bunk bed he made, and we drove in the bunk bed without any seat belts. This is back in the late 70s. All the way out to the Grand Canyon and shit, and stayed in the truck. I mean, that was the vacation that we had. And but actually, I really love that I was raised that way in the value of money and looking around for interest rates, and that my parents taught me, and I could go. And I think I was telling you guys, like I was maybe like 14, and I took out a CD on my own with a bank that was like 100 miles away. I wrote them a letter I saw they had an ad in the local paper, and I'm like, I want to take out a CD. I had to send like a photocopy of my social security card. And back then that was kind of safe. Like I went to the only photocopier in town was at the local bank. So I brought my social security card, copied it, sent the check. I had a checking account and took the CD out. But I mean, it was like right now, yeah, $50 in my wallet will live a long life because I don't need clothes. I don't need anything. My cars are both like 11 years old, and I'm out working on them myself. And as you just kind of said, Aaron, like as long as I can do the spark plugs and the other shit, like I'm great until, things kind of get so modernized.
Right, the engine blows up, or you blow a head gasket or something.
But I'm saving. We're saving the money, and my daughters are really content. They're with the way that they've been raised, and they're not asking for anything. And and if you do a trip at Dairy Queen or something, if we're out at a park or something like that on the way back, that's really a cool thing for them. So yeah, it's just, I honestly don't like to spend money. I wouldn't say like I'm anti money. And I mean, just DT, when you were talking about quitting, my dad, when he was in his 40s, my dad was on the city board, county board, and like all of these other, like, he was a school principal for 37 years, all these other boards. In like 1 year, he just like quit everything because like his dad had died. And he was actually going down to help his dad toward the end. His dad died, and it was kind of this epiphany of like, I don't need to do this. Like, I want to spend time with my family and stuff. And I remember him telling me at that time, and I was young, you'll get to this point in life too, where a lot of this stuff just won't matter, and just like jettison, get rid of it. And I don't know, and like, my lawnmower I've had for 15 years, my weed whacker 15 years. I mean, all of these things, I just service them and do whatever. And why? But you're right. These people, I mean, it's just insane. Like my neighbor's like, hey, you got the latest like leaf blower. I'm like, latest leaf blower? Christ, these last like 50 years.
Is there that much advancement in technology?
Yeah.
I mean, is it GPS or what is? I mean,
how about everybody buying a riding lawnmower? I mean, it's like ever since that the Dolph Lundgren commercial came out, where it's not how fast you mow, it's how well you mow fast or whatever. And like everybody's got a riding lawnmower now. I mean, what happened to the push mower? I mean, that's how I mow my yard. I got a big yard, and I don't get it.
Yeah, and people that have small yards and get out
exactly.
I'm like, it is just, and then they basically take up half, they take up a stall in their garage with this thing.
Or they have to build a shed for it, or spend money on a shed to house it. Yeah.
Well, I just don't. I mean, my main thing about the reason I never bought a a riding lawnmower, besides the fact that I have a condo, is the fact that I want Jesus to be working his ass off when he's out there mowing my lawn. Sorry, I had to bring some levity into this because we were
Zeus,
far into.
Father of Apollo, Mount Olympus.
Wow.
So that dawned on me. All right, so certainly we don't have to sell minimalism to you guys or the listening audience. But it dawned on me.
To my ex-wife, please, because holy cow, I might be retired Navy, but it's impossible to live in San Diego, where I'm trapped on a retired lieutenant commander pension. So,
but this is the question I was going to ask. All the parents here, you guys are all stay-at-home dads, effectively, and with summer coming up, isn't it more important? Like, what would you rather have? Spending summer with your kids? Like, Doc, you're going to go out to South Dakota. DT, you got Bert and Ernie was what I call them. That's not the real names. DT didn't actually name his daughters Bert and Ernie, though it would have been funny as hell. But they're fun, and they love to hang out with you and watch those weird, dark horror movies, which freaks me out. And then, and Michael, you got your kids now that you're retired and everything. Isn't that preferable than shipping them off to daycare, work? I mean, it's got to be somewhat fun, I'd imagine.
Well, in point of fact, Aaron, I'm only retired from the Navy. I do have my kick-ass, slimy, highly lucrative government contracting job. But my boss is in Norfolk, and I have all kinds of flexibility. So
that's nice. So you can work from home. I mean, you get to see them, and you're not shipped off to daycare.
No, yeah. When the weeks I have them, yeah, I'm fully flexible. And obviously that's the ideal. No denying that.
Yeah,
it helps to pick a place to live that doesn't require six figures like most of California.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what happened. What's turned it? I mean, thing about like I live in Seattle right now, and it is just gone insane with the price of everything here is just astronomical. You were talking about cell phones in the beginning, and I remember I just read an article that Seattle pays more different taxes and fees on our cell phone bill than any city in the freaking country. I mean, if you ever looked at the cell phone bill, there's 50 different fees, like FCC charge this and 911 service that and whatever. And then there's all these different state, county, city taxes on top of it. And, half the goddamn bill is just them taxing the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I'm heading off to South Dakota. I'm going to convince Dr. Perot he's going to go there. He's going to get addicted. DT is inevitably going to have fun in his life. He's going to go out there. But, man,
I've been there.
Yeah. But didn't you go last year?
Yes. And we're thinking of moving there. So, I mean, that's one of our potential escape routes out of Minnesota. So.
We can live nearby, and you still won't have to visit me. We'll live nearby in a completely separate state, and you still won't visit. That'd be awesome.
So, Aaron, you've got your place in Vegas, and you were going to move there, right? But I know you've been talking about Rapid City in South Dakota. What is it about South Dakota over a place like Nevada that doesn't have income tax, or Tennessee that doesn't have income tax, or Texas that doesn't have income tax?
Washington State doesn't have income tax.
South Dakota doesn't. I don't think.
The main thing for me is the hiking and the Badlands. I love the Badlands, and the reason why is I'm a flatlander, and whereas say Denver or Seattle or Leavenworth in the Cascades. Montana, there's a lot of places. Wyoming have much larger mountains. If I go much above 10,000 feet, I start getting altitude sickness. Now, the Black Hills, the highest peak is 7,200, and I can bang out those hills, no problem. I still get 2,000 to 3,000 foot elevation gain. There's no state income taxes. I can go shooting in a bunch of different areas. I know this sounds really nerdy, but there's these things called Fairburn agates that are semi-precious and kind of rare. And if you find them, they're out there and you can collect them. There's fossil hunting. There's Badlands National Park that's just outside. And let's not forget the the missile silo park that the doc has to go to. I mean, holy crap!
That is awesome. That is a cool place.
I want to go there. I want to check it out.
I was sharing.
South Dakota doesn't have state income tax. I thought it doesn't.
Yeah,
South Dakota has no state income tax. No.
They got high property taxes to make up for it, but
geez, you know, I looked at the list of income tax free states to pick where I wanted to live until I got trapped here, and I guess I never noticed South Dakota on it. I can't imagine why.
It's way the heck, and it's almost like mathematically the furthest away on any part on the North American continent. Like, you really have to drive there. There's no major airport nearby. The best you can do is maybe Denver, and you're still a 5-hour drive from it. But it's just nice. I don't know. It's got wonderful summers, not too hot, not too many bugs. The winters I'd just be down in Vegas like I do anyway now. And it's also not that populated. It's like, I think it'll hold out. Like, the Californians are not going to move to that like locust by the time I'm dead. I think South Dakota and Utah and Montana and North Dakota and Idaho will be relatively untouched. But if you want to move to South Dakota, you really have to want to move to South Dakota. And so I just kind of like it. And the motorcycling out there is great as well. So, yeah, it is far removed. It's not as popular, say, the Grand Canyon or Rocky Mountain National Park, but that's fine by me. I don't need tour, although there is a tourist season. I don't need a big tourist season every year.
Yeah, I like it there. I mean, the eastern part of the state is pretty flat and pretty boring. The drive from Minnesota to the Black Hills is pretty boring until you hit Badlands, basically. The Missouri River is kind of cool, and then there isn't much until the Badlands and the Black Hills. But I would say that, I mean, one of the reasons why we want to move out there too is that you are closer to Yellowstone and all those cool parks. So it's, I mean, at least closer than Minnesota, right? So that's a reason too for us, is that we are closer to the West, basically.
Yeah, it's still an 8 to 10 hour drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive, but it's longer from Minneapolis. So
yeah, there's I remember, you guys know Marcus Brown, little Marcus Brown. He's
I don't know him, but I know of him. Yeah,
short little black dude. Yeah,
he did the photo for one of my books.
He did it? Okay, cool. Yeah, he was on the cover of one of my books. So here's Marcus, and God bless him, little short black dude from Chicago. He drives all the way out to meet me in the GF in South Dakota. And then we end up going home. And then he's like, well, I'll keep going to Wyoming. He went all the way almost to Tensley, Wyoming, through the Bighorn Mountains, just so he could actually see real mountains. And then he basically got there, turned around, and drove all the way back. But gosh, that's better part than 14 hours straight, 15, 16, if you're going to actually want to fill up in gas and rest a bit.
I didn't think black people like the mountains.
They don't. Trust you me, there's not a lot of black people when I go out hiking on the mountains and the national parks. There's some, but you will see more East Indian tourists from the subcontinent of India than you will American blacks in national parks.
Aaron, do you not remember recommending Marcus for the photo for the front cover of my book?
I don't remember a lot of things. I'm getting old. What are you, my mom? Like, yeah, you remember? Girlfriend does the same thing. You remember we had dinner? There's like just fuck off. Let me be. I don't want to remember everything.
I'm starting to forget so much shit. It just disturbs me. It's like this thing in the back of your brain as you get older that just takes shit that you need and just goes, I don't need that, and just throws it out in the back of the garbage.
Well, exactly my point. Was there something important that I should have remembered about setting you up with Marcus?
Oh no, I was just laughing because you recommended him so strongly to me, and you were so into it at the time.
Yeah, no, I'm still pro him. I'm not against him. Hey, remember that one time we had dinner at that restaurant and you slurped your noodles?
Those are good times.
Those are good times.
Wait, I think I more like dumped them in my lap, as I recall it, but.
Oh, maybe. So, all right. I guess there is some topics I wouldn't mind getting to, because I don't know if you noticed, but the world has communally shit the bed more than it normally did this week.
I hadn't noticed.
I think I know what you want to
I'm
talk
too
about.
overcome with happiness.
Okay, all right. Let's see if old DT knows what I'm going to talk. Go ahead, shoot.
Miss America.
Nope, that's on the list, but that's not the number one thing.
That's not number one. Wow, it's on the list. It's
I got
the Family Feud. It's the Family Feud.
Is it the story about being shot through the garage door that I have a conspiracy theory about?
No, that's not it either.
All right, don't keep us in suspense. What is it?
I know you guys are very excited about it because I am, but do you guys know that this week it was the 20th anniversary of Sex and the City?
That skipped my mind. I don't know why, but
yeah, so it's the 20th anniversary, and the only reason I know it is because I got like 3 people sent me the same article, and I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but it's this article about a gal. What's her name? Julia Allison, and apparently this girl was so heavily influenced in high school when Sex and the City came out that she basically wanted to become these girls. Specifically, the main character that Sarah just
I read the article. I know this article.
Okay, so I'm not going to go the route you think I am, but just let me read this article a little bit, and then I have a question for all of our panelists here because I am lost and I don't have the answer. From the New York Post, dating columnist reveals how Sex and the City ruined her life. Sex and the City premiered on HBO 20 years ago this week, imprinting on a generation of women a love of fantastic fashion and dreams of their own Mr. Big. Among them was Julia Allison, who moved to New York in early 2000 to live the Carrie Bradshaw lifestyle. Carrie Bradshaw is the main character, in case you didn't know, because I didn't. I was just like, which one of is it the redhead whore, the old whore, the lesbian whore, or the big-ass schnoz whore that's married to Matthew Broderick?
She's the big-ass schnoz.
Yes, she's the schnoz whore. Actually, she's probably a very nice person in real life.
My favorite memory of her is L.A. Story.
Yes.
Your boobs feel weird because they're real.
Yeah, but actually they're not.
Well, back then they were.
Oh, were they? Okay.
She was really young in that movie. Steve Martin.
Yeah. She became a dating columnist, a party fixture, and one of the most first internet celebrities, thanks to Gawker, the site that loved to hate on her. But her pursuits sent her ultimately down a path of unhappiness and unfulfillment. Looking back on how the show's ideals negatively impacted her life, Allison, now 37, tells Dory Lawak, hang on, we got to mute Ann again. There we go. No more African bongo drums banging in the background. If I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't. All right, so here's what Allison is writing. 10 years ago on May 27th, 2008, she has the date down. I was on top of the world. I was riding in an Escalade en route to the Sex and City movie premiere in Midtown with a Bravo camera crew in tow. When the SUV door opened, I stepped onto the pink carpet in my Allison Paris dress and Chanel bag. I felt like a star. I felt beautiful. I felt proud. I was rubbing shoulders with celebrities and the goddess herself, Carrie Bradshaw, a.k.a. Sarah the Schnoz Jessica Parker. Since moving to New York City 4 years earlier, I established myself with my own dating column and graced the cover of Wired magazine. I was a public figure who was regularly photographed alongside such famous faces as Henry Kissinger and Richard Branson. I went to all the glam parties, was fodder for gossip sites. I'd signed a deal with Bravo for a reality TV show and dated more than my fair share of Mr. Biggs. I had been profiled in the New York Times, and New York Magazine called me the most famous young journalist in the city. I grew up a nerd in Chicago, more likely to duck into the library than talk to kids at recess. At 12, I thought I would never be kissed. Boy, did I make up for that later. I was a rising high school senior when Sex and the City debuted in 1998. Okay, so she was a senior when it came out in high school. And I was instantly enthralled. I wanted to be like Carrie and her friends. I wanted to be glamorous and beautiful and dress well and have lots of dates. I didn't realize I didn't have to be a geek anymore. I could reinvent myself. I'm skipping down here. I even started at this. She now has moved to New York. I even started college. I even started a dating column for my college paper called Sex on the Hilltop. Because you see, there was a hilltop at the college. That's why it's fucking funny.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God, it gets worse. And you might want to drink something that doesn't make you throw up or whatever that chemical is called. Which was modeled after Carrie's column in the fictional New York Star. When the last episode of Sex and the City aired in February of 2004, I hosted a viewing party for 200 guests. It was my swan song as well. 8 months later, I would move to New York, where, armed with my Sex and the City DVDs, my transformation really began. Okay, so she moved to New York, throws a party with 200 guests on the last thing, moves to New York. Based on what I knew from Sex and the City, I expected the city to sweep me off my feet. I envisioned nonstop brunching and shopping. Fuck the finances, I guess. It had such an outsized influence on me that even with a very expensive degree in government, of course, I said to myself, I'm obviously going to be a columnist. Of course, why do STEM or work hard or close the wage gap? It seems so reasonable and attainable. I emailed the editor of a New York daily free newspaper no more than 60 times in 6 months, begging for a column, even offering to do it for free. So things haven't changed. And when that paper finally hired me, I made $50 per week. I later moved out of New York. No, I'm sorry. I later moved to Time Out, New York, where I made $750 a week, a huge improvement, but not enough to buy Manilows and barely enough to afford $2,500 rent for my 400-foot square apartment in Hell's Kitchen. Get ready, Ann. Get ready, and here it comes. I lived on food bought for me on dates and the occasional bodega tuna sandwich. For clothes, it was wrap dresses from Diane von Furstenberg.
Those are expensive.
Well, let me tell you how she affords it. Listen to this. Combined with loans from designers who took pity on me, like Betsy Johnson, whom I'd interview at Fashion Week. Different men I dated gave me YSL shoes and status purses, just like Big did for Carrie on SAT. Sex in the City. I also subscribed to Carrie's ethos when it came to men. There was no such thing as a bad date, only a good date with a good brunch story. In my writing, I gave my boyfriends nicknames. One was Prom King, just like Carrie and her friends did. What else? In 2008, my two best girlfriends and I had just filmed a Bravo pilot for a show called It Girls. It wasn't picked up. We were all invited by a 40-something billionaire to his Miami mansion. He even sent his private jet for us. It was just him, the three of us, and his butler and chef. I don't think this man was used to being told no, and he started chasing me around his mansion. I finally had to lock myself in the bathroom.
Come on.
What a surprise. How did that happen?
That's Mr. Big. She's supposed to hook up with him.
But she's supposed to play hard to get.
She can make some money on that now.
How do you think she got all this? She sucked dick to get all this crap.
No, I mean, now she could sue, right? Me Too. That's got Me Too written all over it.
Yeah, pound me too.
Yeah, pound me too. Come on.
But if you're a geeky girl in high school, why is the first thing you want to reinvent yourself as a whore?
Because you're not.
Because they want girl. You know what they want, guys.
All right, yeah, we got a little bit more to go here. A little bit more to go. Hang on. I promise we'll be done soon.
Bring the pain. Bring it.
The worst part is, this is after she rebuked his advances. The worst part, he sent us back on JetBlue.
Well, yeah, she didn't fuck him.
You don't suck, you got to pay the buck. All right. Between 2004 and 2011, I filmed 9 TV pilots, many of which were reality shows, and all of which were a derivation of some kind of Sex and the City role. For me, I was always the Carrie. In one pilot I hosted for Animal Planet, the premise was that your dog would choose whom you'd go out with. There was humbling moments, blah, blah, blah. She needs a break. In 2010, she moves to California, bounced between the coasts. Then in 2011, one of my pilots was finally picked up by Bravo. The whole concept of Misadvised, that's the title of the show, was a real-life Carrie Bradshaw. So this is 7 years after the show has ended, and this girl is, if I do the math right, about to turn 30. It was about 3 single women in 3 different cities, and I was the dating columnist for Elle in Los Angeles. It was Sex in the City meets journalism. Producers sent me to a mind architect, a love coach, and a witch in the pursuit of love.
A witch?
She considers this journalism?
Of course
This
not.
is work avoidance. This is just a study of work avoidance.
Oh my god, a hard-hitting expose on a witch and a tarot reader.
So continuing on, but it came too late. In my heart, I was finished trying to be Carrie. When the show wasn't renewed for a second season, I was relieved. The experience made me really look at myself. I was trying so hard to be liked that it was coming across as inauthentic and bitchy. Also, it was miserable to have cameras around all the time. Yeah, with all that free food and free flight, that's a real suck. Finally, I cut my ties to New York and moved to San Francisco full time in 2013.
Well, yeah,
I tried
so much.
Yeah, I like what's the difference? I tried being a tech columnist, writing personal growth, and writing
Tech
a personal.
What the hell did you know about tech?
There's so much wrong with this. We would be here for hours if we criticized every piece of hypocrisy this bitch did in her life. But we're going to get to a point that has nothing to do with any of this. I am merely providing context of this crazy person. And writing a personal growth book called Experiments in Happiness, because she was miserable, so she was going to write a book about being happy. Finally, I decided to go private for a while. I stopped blogging and writing. I rarely post on Instagram. These days, I work as a change activist, mounting summits for world leaders and serving as an advisor to startups and entrepreneurs looking to better the planet. So she's unemployed. I'm finally living in. No, I'm being deadly serious.
I know.
That just this is not. They're not making money. They're just not. I'm finally having a life of integrity. I'm attuned to my values. I never heard about values on Sex in the City. Here you go. Here we go. Get ready, Ann. I dated a woman for a while, a beautiful entrepreneur who was also jilted by New York. That's definitely not something you saw Carrie do, but dating is not front and center of my life anymore, although it was all I talked about in my 20s. That's pretty one-dimensional. Last year, I ended a 2-year relationship with a man who ultimately couldn't commit and wanted to be polyamorous. Again, Sex in the City lessons, blah, blah, blah. Crush and needed to regroup. I took a sabbatical and lived in Bali for 8 months on a healing journey. I was also celibate during my entire time there.
Go eat, pray, love thing now, huh?
Eat, pray, slut.
This is everything. It's got everything. I do wonder what my life would have looked like if Sex in the City had never come across my consciousness. Perhaps I'd be married with children now. Who knows? But I can say for sure that as clever and aesthetically pleasing as the show was, and as much as I agree with its value of female friendships, it showed too much consumerism and fear of intimacy disguised as empowerment. It's like candy.
Yeah, the TV shows. It's the TV show's fault.
Yes.
It took you 20 years of being a moron to figure out that show was shallow.
You're not, and they can't all be like you. They can't all be like you. They can't be all brilliant, beautiful, and highly intelligent, independent thinking minded women. But it's like candy. In the moment, it feels good to eat, but afterwards, you feel sick. Whom are you dating? What you're wearing? How good you look at the premiere? None of that matters unless you genuinely love yourself. Solid relationships are what really matters. Truth be told, I wish I'd never heard of Sex in the City. I'm sure there are worse role models, but for me, it did permanent and measurable damage to my psyche that I'm still cleaning up. Sure, I could have been dating columnists for the rest of my life, but honestly, I gave really bad dating advice, and so did Carrie Bradshaw. So now, I got to talk about this. Her profession.
She's hit the wall, and she's realized she was full of shit the whole time.
Well, at least she admits it. Oprah's never going to admit it. You know, Oprah's not going to say, it was all bullshit. But here, she finally admitted it. Like, her whole, but the concept of you were a professional. It's like a surgeon can't get away with that. You know what? I was faking it the entire time. You know how we replaced your liver? I replaced it with the spleen. I didn't know the difference. It looked like it fit. No wonder you got jaundice. Yeah, kind of fucked up there. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, some of the most fucked up people do give dating advice.
Damn. Where'd I go? I want to be a different role model from the one I got. 2 months ago, I started seeing someone I never would have dated 10 years earlier. Back then, I wasn't looking to get married or seek a lifelong partner, and that was a mistake. This man is a very reasonable choice, and I'm at my place in my life where reasonable is very sexy. I've put away the pink party dress. The designer shoes and bags are in storage. Now I feel like genuine me. I'm no longer a Carrie Bradshaw knockoff.
Yeah, translation is this is the only guy who can get to fuck me anymore now that I've hit the wall.
Yeah, I wonder what's wrong with him that he's putting up with her.
He's a liberal and a soy boy. I'm going to go off on a limb there. Okay, now, plenty to tear up on this article. But I think not only is the internet probably have already done a good job of it, this type of, she's almost a caricature, a stereotype at this point.
Yeah, is this us? Is this?
There we go. Oh, it's so
Damn
much nicer. All right. Isn't
Hands
it
on the
funny we have to
police chase.
shut the woman up on the podcast? Whenever we get on, we gotta shut her up. At sometimes. And when the fire trucks go away, let me know.
Yeah, because actually, we actually
building.
need her to talk about this one.
All right. Now, so I'm reading through this. It's almost stereotypical. But then I get the sneaky suspicion in the back of my head, like, okay, it's in the New York Post. It was taken up by the Daily Mail. And I know these are tabloids. And I know that they do this for yellow journalism and clickbait and all that. But there is so much detail and so many things being said in here. Like, for example, let me pull it up. She is really obsessed. Like, her entire life, she started doing pilots based off of Sex in the City.
Good on her. At least one of them got picked up. But you know, if you get a pilot picked up, you actually you actually make some decent money for that.
Right, but she was really obsessed, and then she moved to New York, and I'm starting to get the sneaky, suspicious feeling that this isn't BS. Like, this girl actually believed it.
Did you look her up and see if she actually had that show as a producer and stuff?
No, I believe she did. I have no reason not to believe it.
Okay.
But whereas traditionally, you could say this is just her doing something zany and crazy for attention whoring, to boost her social media, to boost her numbers, to get more money. At the same time, I'm wondering, she actually believes this. She actually thinks like that she could have, at the age of 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, all the way up to her late 30s, that this was a viable option, that this was sane, that this was going to have no costs or consequences. And so
that letter seemed genuine. I agree with you.
Right. And then there's some stuff where obviously it's attention whoring, you know, the billionaire with the private jet and, you know, ooh, I dated a woman for a while. Look at how zany I am. So there's certainly some attention whoring here. But what I'm more concerned about is how prevalent is this? Not necessarily among women, but we're going to use this as an example. But how prevalent is this level of insanity? Because basically, what I want to know is what percentage of the population is sane. And the more I go out there and the more I look at people today, the more and you see news, you see crazy stuff on the internet. How much of that is because the population and society is losing their mental facilities? Or is it just that the internet is a much finer mesh? You know, like these people have always been there. We're just dredging up these ugly monsters from the bottom of the sea that've always been there, but we've never seen it.
Right.
I think that I always operate on the premise that all women are crazy. It's just a matter of degree, you know. So it's not a binary state. You know, they are or they are or they are not. It's just a matter of degrees. So all women are crazy. You just got to, you know, try to find one that's just the least nuts. As far as men go, I don't know. I mean, I think for men, it's more like, yeah, he's got his shit together or he doesn't.
Right. Now, add to this. This is where it gets bad. I had it up. Give me a second here. Oh, wait. No, I posted it. So I remember many years ago when Sex in the City was out. And I remember my female friends would all line. They'd have little Sex in the City's parties. And they'd, oh, my God, gossip. And I was like, you know what? Darn it. Hang on. Wrong thing. Sorry, guys. There we go. Got the right one up. Give me a sec. All right. So I remember when it was in its heyday, peak of popularity, girls were going over watching. They get their wine, get their Chardonnay, and they watch it. Remember an article coming out where they were talking about women that actually moved to New York City. Now, this is like 20 years ago or late, 18, 19 years ago. Not today. Not social justice warrior crazy girls fresh out of high school and delusional and brainwashed. These are girls from our generation that were going to move out to New York City.
Maybe this chick wrote that article that you read. Possible. This chick could have wrote that article that you read. She was a journalist, right?
Right. So here I find in the New York Times, I really want to find that original article that was highlighting all these women that were moving out to New York because they wanted to be like Sex in the City, Sure enough, because it's a 20-year anniversary, New York Times. On June 6, 1998, HBO broadcast its first episode of Sex and the City, introducing the world to Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and Samantha, 4 single women who took Manhattan by storm. Blah, 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 blah. Less remarked upon is how the show spurred a generation of young, ambitious, and single women to move to New York and chase their own Sex and the City dreams. Whether that meant finding their Mr. Big, landing a fashion PR job, or sipping cosmopolitans at Manolo Blahniks while summering in the Hamptons. Were you among those transplants? How many of you made it to New York? Who did you identify with? We want to hear your story. And so it provided a little vindication. And then you read through and they profile all these women below, of which you can stereotype 41, 50, writer, fashion, publicist, all work avoidance degrees. There's one millennial girl who is a Caitlin Stannis, occupation, wedding toast writer. She is a wedding toast writer.
Wow.
And
they don't know how to be genuine, do they? Wow. None of them know how to be genuine.
Well, they're helping other people be fake. God. You know, I think part of the problem is people decreasingly are capable of separating fiction and fantasy from the real world. Like when I was working at the Chicago Reader, we used to have this movie reviewer who would, every time he was really interested in international movies, and every time he got interested in a nationality like Iran, he would start thinking he was that nationality, and it would start slipping into his writing. Like, we here in Iran, and he's sitting in Chicago. Like,
that's kind of
fair.
Weird.
Like, people, you know, and it's like this, people model their lives after sitcoms and shows and that kind of thing, and they don't realize that even if the material for that show is drawn from real life, when people write fiction to make it entertaining, they exaggerate things for comic effect, and they do satire. And people don't register that. They think this is a realistic portrait of life.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair to the person that did this, I imagine that after Indiana Jones came out, and I know there are people that went and got archaeology degrees because they wanted to be Indiana Jones. So there are some other examples out there too, I guess, where guys maybe do that, but not to this level, I'm sure.
Well, there's a difference between a role model and losing touch with reality and thinking that, you know, without a trust fund or whatever, you can live in Manhattan on $50 a week.
Right.
Well, that's what's concerning me is I'm seeing more and more of these articles, and whereas I used to think that, this is just a sensationalism piece, this is just, you know, oh, they're doing that for the clickbait and the traffic. If you start looking at things like the Huffington Post, let's take the Huffington Post, for example. Yes, it's biased to the left, but how is it any different than this slop being written here?
Well, the Huffington Post doesn't pay their writers at all. So, yeah, you know, like a blog, hopefully right? This person does. I don't know.
Well, right. But what I'm saying is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just, you know, so what? They're all full of shit, man.
Right. I was going to say my reaction to this article in her letter, though, is by all outward appearances, she succeeded in her quest. She was a rousing success, and yet it didn't work. You know, she did everything she wanted to do, everything. And so this is the shining example of if you want to be Indiana Jones, you know, or you want to be the Sex and the City chick or whatever, and you go out and you succeed, it's not what you think it is.
No, it's not. I became a submarine officer because I read The Hunt for Red October. And let me tell you, well, Tom Hanks got some stuff right. He's also full of shit in a lot of ways. And yeah, because as a fiction writer, I can relate to that. It's still awesome being on a submarine, but it's not quite what made it out to be.
Huh.
Right, but when I'm looking at more and more articles coming out, and maybe this is admittedly a woman our age, but and again, I'm trying to figure out how much is a fine net versus
Right.
people who are actually living this life to the point that they're delusional.
Yeah.
If we keep flooding the market with worthless degreed people, we flood the college market. Hey, here's all the money in the world. Go major in government. Go be a writer. We keep deferring, kicking the can down the road, and delaying people from actually having to live in the real world. What percentage? Because here's the thing. This gal obviously came from a very privileged background. There's no way she could have done any of this without Daddy Warbucks supporting her. I guarantee if we were to look up her father, there'd be some money there. And she didn't support herself at all in New York. It was certainly either parasiting off of dates or her dad supporting her. But
sounds like it was mostly parasiting off of dates from what she said.
Right.
And she was popular enough to get basically sort of sponsors in a way that, you know,
Right.
people that were designers would give her free clothes and stuff because she was, I guess, you know, at least well enough known to be able to profit from that.
You know, I think we need to make a distinction between having a role model and like buying into this crazy lifestyle. Like, there's nothing wrong with becoming a submarine officer because you saw something that inspired you.
Oh, fuck, I'm not saying that.
But deciding that you should be a prostitute because someone on a nice show on TV is a prostitute, which is basically what they're doing, right? I mean,
well, they wouldn't call it prostitution.
They wouldn't call it prostitution, but yeah, you're going out on a date and he's flying you here and there, and you find out that, oh, I actually am a prostitute, and then you freak out and you wind up having to be flown home on JetBlue. Like, there's nothing wrong with people gleaning role models from fiction, but why would you pick a role model like that?
Well, it's because they're conditioned to. And that's the original point that I had about this.
Those girls were portrayed as glamorous and fun, and look at all the fun we're having, and yay, and no cares in the world except for the boys, but who cares? I think that's very appealing to a certain segment.
Yeah, I think another part is there's a lack of agency in this, so she's using this to fulfill the agency. And then there's a term, it's called, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but pareidolia. It's Pareidolia, but basically
it's the face on Mars thing.
It's like the face on Mars. So it's basically a psychological phenomena that you see what you want to see, these patterns. And it's one of these things, like if you go into a haunted house and you hear a creaky door, you think it's a spirit. If it's just a house you're going to buy and you hear a creaky door, you think, I got to go get some WD-40. So it's one of these things where the psychological phenomena, I see this actually when I go through like expert witness depositions, I can see people switching into this mode that is like this paranoid. They see things that were never really there, that they wanted to see. And it's so, I don't know. I think people are believing this is real or possible, but yeah, I guess it'd be more because like when I was, when we were growing up, what was it? It was like the Love Boat and Fantasy Island. Hell, I didn't believe you could go to Fantasy Island. I didn't believe the shit that went on to Love Boat, really. But
I did.
Did you? Well, even Friends was around at this time too, and I guess yeah. But yeah.
I mean, I thought you could go on Star Trek too.
I believe in the revenge of
sports stars, though. Isn't there a statistic about sports stars that there's a huge percentage of the black population when they're kids are, and even their parents are sort of banking on the idea that they become a multi-million-dollar sports star, and so that they're looking at that as a possibility, and they sort of forsake all other opportunities in exchange for this kind of goal that happens to such a small percentage of people.
Yeah, actually, I dated a girl in high school, and her brother went on to pitch for a major university and made it to the MLB draft and then wiped out his arm, and that was it. But the whole family, that was the focus. There was nothing else from little on. And like his godfather had been a coach for, the Boston Red Sox, some first base coach or something. But yeah, I mean, that was it.
Well,
and Ann's like the sound effects. Aaron, you were jazzing me on the sound effects, but Ann's got like every button up right now. Beep, 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 beep.
No, she just lives in Chicago.
Please. Yeah.
All right. So sports stars is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. They're delusional. Only 1 in 19,000 people actually become a professional athlete. And by professional, that just means paid, not paid a lot. You could be working over in the minor leagues as the third designated hitter or something like that. You have the example we talked about here with Miss Real Life, Carrie Bradshaw. You then put that in an environment where you could do anything, follow your dreams, and not only will we give you Daddy Warbucks money, we'll lend you all the money from the government to major in whatever slop or crap. Yes, you could go to New York. Yes, you could go to LA and star and thing. So compared to, say, 1940, what percentage of our population back then versus today have those delusional dreams?
Well, if you think about it, if you're talking about people being conditioned to want to do this, if you watch, I don't know, TV shows, documentaries, biographies, how often, you very, very often see biographies telling the story of people who have these extraordinary lives, who become, your 1 in a million baseball stars, or who become singing stars. Are there any stories published or TV shows made that glamorize, like, having a job and buying a house and raising kids?
Right. Well, of course not, because when you come on, when you're telling a story, people don't want to listen to a story about somebody who's just like them, right? They want to hear a story about someone who goes above and beyond, who overcomes odds, who faces a challenge and rises up and kicks ass, takes names and conquers the kingdom and gets the princess, and
Well, sure.
When you're telling stories, the boring everyday life that all of us lead, nobody's gonna read that. Nobody's gonna watch that unless you're Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm not saying that's not true.
I mean,
I think it's because it's so much
fun. That's not true, but the result is that people don't see ordinary lives being glamorized, and then they get it into their head that I could be the 1 in a million because they've seen this so many times.
Okay, all right. So let me stop everybody right here. Ann, let me ask you this.
There's a difference. Go ahead. Sorry, Aaron. I keep talking over you.
Yeah, that's fun. There's a difference or delineation between escapism in the case of watching fiction, like The Hunt for Red October, Sex in the City. What I'm arguing, or what I'm afraid of, is that especially today, starting with our generation, but really turned up to 11 now, is we no longer teach that to the kids, that this is not real, this is escapism, this is not likely. And now people are delusional to think that, well, not only can I do it, but I'm almost entitled to it, or I should do it, and there's no hand of reality coming down and striking a little sense into your skull saying, no, you're not going to think about that on the outset, on the premise. You're going to move to New York with no job, and you're going to become a fashion writer. A fashion writer. You're going to move to the most expensive, and you're not going to move to like the Bronx or Queens. You're going to move to Manhattan or the more expensive parts of it, and you're going to buy shopping bags and expensive clothes, and you're going to have brunch, and you're going to drink mimosa every week. Every week.
If you think about it, when people are in their developmental stages, like kids used to get jobs and babysit and do all this stuff. I don't know if they still do that. And people used to take degrees that were demanding. So you get out of high school, you study, you get into college. If you're taking a demanding degree, you spend a lot of time working. But now if you're taking like women's studies or basket weaving or whatever, you don't have to spend that much time on your work. So you spend those formative years like watching Netflix instead of learning to work. You're watching these fantasies, and you never get it in your head that like that's not the way the world is.
So 45 of painful minutes later, we finally get to the point I've been trying to make. What percentage of insane delusional dipshits are we dumping out into the market now? And when I looked, I saw the article, not the specific one that I remembered, but the one where you actually had women saying, yeah, I did that. I moved out there. Now I'm starting to wonder what percentages of these articles that we all with, clear, logical brains, and we mock and ridicule, what percentage of them actually think it? What percentage of them actually believe this? Because I'm afraid I'm afraid it's around. I mean, now there's varying levels.
Ah, Jesus.
It was Jesus. Jesus was
It was Jesus.
There are varying levels of delusion and insanity. I mean, this woman is obviously very delusional. I would say pushing insane. But another perfect example, I'm at the Walgreens today. All right. Here's this kid. He's got long black hair. No offense, DT. Polished black nails and a lip piercing. And he's looking at me, and I can just see he has no bones. He just has wet noodles for a skeletal structure. And oh yeah, you have your choices and you could do. No, that guy has mental issues. That guy is not going to be a productive member of society. Fine, he's working at Walgreens. Good for him. I guarantee you I'm paying for him in some other way, in some other regard.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with the other people he's going to interact with. And heaven forbid, breed. Think about that 30-year-old dipshit that's suing his parents because they wanted to evict him.
Yeah.
Turns out he's got a goddamn kid.
Yeah, 8-year-old kid, and he's behind like 28,000 in child support.
Right. So
Well, there's
what
a
I'm
stat
saying-
that just came out that 40% of people don't have $400 for emergency expenses. So I think when you're saying how many people are insane and are pursuing things that they know won't work out, but they're delusional and they think that they are, and they think that if they buy certain things, they're going to be happy. There's all kinds of different kinds of insanity, right? There's all kinds of things that were sold via either fiction or just commercials and stuff. Oh, this is going to make you happy. This is going to make you a success. And we result with 40% of people don't have $400 to pull together for an emergency expense. And there's all kinds of statistics like that. Yeah, most of the society is insane.
All right, DT, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here on that because I'm the guy who had far more than that in emergency expense funds. And then this thing called divorce happened.
Yep.
And now, fuck emergency fund. I'm just trying to make ends meet.
Well, what would be the percentage of those people that have had true hardship? I mean, that's the question you're posing there, and I guess I don't know the answer to that. I meet a hell of a lot more irresponsible people in my own life than I do people who are truly suffering some kind of legitimate hardship. So,
oh yeah, right there with you, man. I guess it just hits a little close to the bone right now.
Sure. I get it.
Talk to me in 6 months.
No, I raised that with some family recently, and it's like, whoa, I raised this stat around the wrong crowd. So, I'm trying to get wow, really? They're not responsible enough to have just $400? And and they're the kind of people that just, go to the rock concert or buy their latest gadget and all that kind of stuff, but they don't have $400 for an emergency expense.
Well, hell, I always made sure I had, at least $400 just in ammo.
Yeah.
Well, okay. If I want to sell my ammo, I'd be well beyond that. But that's, you don't want to sell that. That's trading supplies after the apocalypse.
Yeah, that was part of the stat, was that they would have to sell something to get that $400.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Yeah, the women were all saying, they would sell their ass.
But not their ass, only their pussy.
Sorry. Going back, Aaron posed a question before of like, I guess, how long would women stay with this versus a guy? And I'm thinking, it's every year they show some training camp in the NFL, and there's some guy who's been like working out like nonstop, and he buys like the jersey and all the authentic stuff. And he's running up and down like outside in the parking lot, hoping someone to recognize him. But usually, like within the day, someone's over there and they're like, dude, not happening. Like, and he gets it. And he's gone, And
Right.
I just I haven't seen that with guys where they pursue these types of things, or whether it be that Indiana or what. I think the reality sets in much faster. Maybe that's because
Men are rational.
Yeah, men are rational, and then also taking on responsibility, like in the workplace, and creating things and building things and stuff like that.
Also, though, sorry to interrupt you, but it's not just that men are more rational. I think, generally speaking, they are. But society doesn't let us get away with irresponsibility the way it lets women get away with it. like this woman who was able pretty much to get by on a soft form of prostitution. I mean, if a guy moved to New York like that, it's not gonna take him 10 or 20 years, or however long it took this girl to wise up to that, because his life is he's not gonna be able to make it just on wearing something nice or something like that.
Right.
The world doesn't work that way for men. So that's probably as much of a reason as the differences between men and women mentally.
Oh yeah. So I mean, as I'm listening to this, I mean, and we probably all listen to Stefan Molyneux, for whatever it's worth, but he's always talking sexual market value. It sounds like she wrote this when she hit the sexual market value wall, just like Carrie Bradshaw did, and now she's trying to figure out what the hell to do. And of course, Carrie went off the air. So what does she do? I mean, what are her options? I think that's what she's really trying to get at here.
I think she's just finally being introduced to reality at this point. Because nothing that she got, as DT pointed out, she got everything she wanted, and now she's not happy. And now she's starting to go through stuff that you would have normally gone through in your late teens and early 20s, but she was chasing after this delusion of becoming a Sex and the City wannabe.
She was successful. She didn't recognize it, it seems like. I mean, she made it, right? I mean, she made it in New York. She got a show. But how she was describing it, I would say she was successful, but it wasn't what she thought it was going to be. Success didn't mean monetary success, or it didn't mean any type of success that she was thinking that it was, but she was absolutely successful. What she set out to do.
Oh my God.
Now Anne's at a concert.
She can't shut her window or something?
Every time I unmute my microphone, there like a siren goes by or somebody honks their fucking horn. And you know what? It's so noisy here. I don't even notice it till you mute me. There's a siren right outside my window, and I can't even hear it because I'm so used to it.
Do you have your windows open, or what the hell, man?
Well, yeah, it's like 80 degrees.
Kid in a sombrero.
And can't afford air
You
conditioning.
sweat a little bit. Sorry, you perspire a little.
I glow. But no, seriously, it's so noisy in my neighborhood all the time that if you hadn't muted me, I would not have noticed there was a siren running right.
Oh, no, I'm getting used to muting you. Don't worry, it's becoming habit now. You guys all wonder.
Notice goes up.
It's kind of funny. I got a bunch of people. I told them like, yeah, I'm doing this new podcast. I want to interview people and have them on the show, and including you. And like, oh, dude, I'm free next week. I'm like, oh no, you don't understand. We got to work some kinks out. We have got to work some kinks out.
Hey, Aaron, there's some guy named Ali in the comments who wants to pay you to come on the show to ask you a question.
I don't know how to see. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know how to bring somebody on the show. Oh wait, maybe I do. Did he give me
Ali Ikram?
Yeah. Does he have does he
know.
have like
Ask
a
him.
Twitter or hey, just everybody back off a little bit. Does Ali have? Did he provide like a Twitter or a Facebook or some way to send him a link?
No, this is Aaron. Aaron, I love you. Heart. Aaron, how much to come on the show and ask a question? Yo, Arrow. Aaron, where are you? Aaron, where are you? Multiple question marks.
Wow. Okay, so he's crazy.
It sounds like a song. Aaron, where are
That or he's your gay stalker lover guy.
Yeah, I don't. For everybody listening on the chat, I'm not following the chat right now. Again, like I said, we got to work all the kinks out. But this is why I finally found out that Beckloff has Luke on. He has a dedicated person to watch the chat, so that if a super chat comes in, it's immediately addressed. If there's an interesting question, it's immediately addressed. Otherwise, I have to be on Ann Sterzinger's microphone the entire time, making sure that when there's a siren or a cat that got hit by a fire truck at the same time, I can mute it.
I don't mean to make fun of Ali, but he did offer you money. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Well, that's why so did he is there a way I could send him a link to the show?
I don't know. He's just in the comments.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't, there's really no way to do it. But yeah, down the road, that super chat thing will be able to take care of it. So, let's bring up the Miss America thing, because I was going to talk about that. Who does not know about the Miss America thing?
What's the Miss America thing? I mean,
Oh my goodness.
I'm still not sure it's not a joke.
Well, Michael, what it is that the Miss America pageant has been taken over, more or less, I believe, by Gretchen Carlson, who was a former Miss America winner herself from Minnesota, no less. And they are doing away with the bikini contest or the swimsuit contest.
So what's the fucking point?
Well, that's where this is interesting, and I might actually shock you guys by saying I kind of agree with this.
Oh Christ!
God damn it, Aaron.
What, you want to see more fiddling?
You want to hear them make
tricycles?
more?
Okay, all right.
Them make more dipshit speeches about how they're gonna. Jesus H, come on, man.
Let me ask you guys all a simple question.
It's a beauty contest.
When's the last time you guys watched it?
Never.
Never. No.
The point is, it's a
No, when I
beauty
was a
contest.
kid, I watched it.
Yeah, my parents had it on in like high school.
Okay, so let me go. I went and did a little digging up in some history of the Miss America pageant contest. Started in 1921. And then when television came along, obviously, radio, you're like, she's hot. Are you sure? Yeah, trust me, she's hot. Broomhilda von Vinks. Yeah, she's 340 pounds of hotness as far as you know. So television comes along and it gains this huge amount of popularity. And it peaked in the late 70s and the early 80s. So then, as you have cable came in, there was more to watch on TV. And then certainly the internet, which not only gave you more stuff on quote TV, internet TV, but you introduced porn. No guy gives a damn anymore about watching a girl twirl a baton in a bikini or a swimsuit that covers everything up. And
yes,
the only
they freaking do.
What's that?
Yes, they do.
What? Okay, when's the last time you watched the Miss America pageant?
You know, why did? Okay, based on your logic there, Aaron, no girl should ever wear underwear or lingerie. Just fuck it, just go out nude. No, man, it's all about the tease. It's all about the hey, look what you could have, but not. And come on, man.
I'm pointing out the reason no one's watching it anymore is because there's a lot more other stuff on TV. And if guys want to get cute chicks, they have so many unlimited options now with porn on the internet. The Miss America pageant has largely gone away. I think if I remember the numbers correctly, 2008, it had 8.6 million viewers. Now the most recent one dropped below 6, which is nothing. I mean, they compared it to the Victoria's Secret's lingerie halftime show, and that had 10.6 million views. Shoot, there's some internet celebrities that get more than that talking about video game reviews. So the whole point is this thing is dead. This is a dinosaur. It's a throwback to a time that is no longer is. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but guess who the majority of people are that watch this now?
Yeah. Women, right?
Women, right. And since this is largely a female affair, and women don't care about how hot another chick is,
yes, they do.
Well,
it's all
only
about
in terms of
comparing themselves
jealousy.
to each other.
But now they're switching it over to hang on, let me look it up. It's cringeworthy because now once girls take things over, it's all about empowering.
Right. Whatever Gretchen Carlson said. Yeah.
Gretchen Carlson. Here,
she took down Roger Ailes, right? She's one of the reasons why the whole Fox News thing started, I think.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't think she was the one that claimed to be harassed by Roger Ailes, but she was fired. Or she wasn't given the slot she wanted to. She was downgraded to like a less a time slot that had less viewers, and there was some lawsuit over that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew she had a lawsuit, but I didn't remember exactly what it was.
And I think she did, jump on the. Because, I mean, anyone can say, yeah, he harassed me, he did this. Right. And when all this stuff came out, she said, yeah, throw that in too.
Yeah. What were you looking up, Aaron?
I found it. I want to get to the article point where you could just see that this is no longer a mainstream thing. Men aren't watching it. Women have definitely taken it over. And now it's going to be, what do they call that? A hen brigade or a hen convention? Where women get together and complain.
Knitting circle.
Knitting circle. Thank you. For decades, young women across the country have competed in the Miss America pageant, walking the stage in evening gowns and swimsuits. But this pageant, as it's been known, is changing. We are no longer a pageant. We are a competition because we are no longer judging women candidates on their physical outward appearance. Like Gretchen Carlson, and Minnesota native, the former Miss America.
It's a beauty contest.
Hang on. The big thing is you don't have to be a perfect 10 anymore because we want to talk to you about the substance of your life, your career goals, your objectives, what you want to be, your leadership skills, and how you feel empowered. See, it's all this leftist crap. It's gone to the social justice warrior crap. Now it's your beliefs. Not one of these I don't know if we had one girl in the history of Miss America ever do like a calculus proof or ever do molar conversions. It's always, I'm going to twirl the baton and I love the children. But now we're going.
Didn't the God Emperor used to be involved with the Miss America thing, and he's not anymore or something?
He's Miss USA. I guess there's a Miss USA and a Miss America. I didn't know there was two different ones.
I think he's Miss Universe.
Oh, well, then never mind. Now, this would be why
it's Trump. It's got to be big. It's not just one.
It's got to be the universe.
World, it's the universe. Yeah.
This would be why he's not involved with it. For fuck's sake.
If you listen to what they're saying, it's just it's standard. Women have taken this over, and not at least conservative women who might say, well, maybe it shouldn't physical beauty be kind of a thing because men like that, and that's kind of what it be. Nope, it's all gone. We are women in 2018 moving forward. We are women of the future. I think it's important to make this change. It's a scary change, but necessary for good and good for the program, Shalom said. Around the country, events like the Women's March and the Me Too movement show a cultural revolution. Women are standing up and speaking out. Carlson says this competition has taken notice of that. I can't think of any young woman who wouldn't want to be part of this empowerment process. Students at the University of Minnesota said they're thrilled with the changes. I think it's awesome that that's not the focus on women anymore, especially with everything that's going on with women's empowerment, said one student. I don't even quote this, just said one student.
One student, yeah.
Yes. When I'm gonna write an article, when I'm gonna write an article, said one guy on the street.
What's going on with women's empowerment? Could you get more vague? Like all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Like we voted.
I think that it's necessary. I think it's about time. I think that's how women should be viewed. Another added.
Another student.
Well, I don't get, like, what doesn't empower women? Like, they're always saying, you know, this empowers women, this empowers women. Like, what really threw me for a loop was, do you remember, like, I don't know, it was like 4 years ago, there was this Duke University chick that started doing porn, and she went on all the media. I mean, she was on Piers Morgan. She was on The View. She was media savvy. I'll give her that for someone who was 18 years old. And she was doing like really hardcore pornography, and she's saying how empowered it was. I'm like, what?
Didn't she end up killing herself, or am I thinking of other porn star actresses that kind of have the life expectancy of a coke addict?
Well, I don't think she's dead, but I mean, she I think I would have heard about it if she killed herself. But half of these chicks end up, you know, killing themselves or strung out on dope or, you know, whatever. So I don't know. But I mean, what the story was said, she's from Washington State. So it kind of got a lot of press here, but I mean, it got press all over because, like I said, she went on all those international shows. But yeah, she was even on like Howard Stern and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it was really sad, like, what it did to her family. Like, she was raised like this very traditional Catholic. She went to a Catholic prep school. Her father, you know, her parents were still married. Her father was a doctor in the military. And, you know, he comes home from Afghanistan to find out his daughter is doing, you know, like taking 3 dicks up her ass.
Yeah, it's because I remember her dad was overseas, and he was a doctor, or maybe a chaplain even, or something.
No, he was a doctor.
He was a doctor. Okay.
So how many young girls saw those interviews and were like, "Oh, that's so empowering. I want to go do that." And then they go into the internet porn business and don't make any money at all because it's basically just legal prostitution, and just like the Sarah Jessica Parker chick, right? Oh, this is the new sex on the internet instead of Sex in the City.
Well, that's, again, gets back to my original point, is what percentage of gals have, like, done porn shoots, or what do they call it? Webcamming. What percentage?
For fuck's sake, man. You know, I'm just going through this divorce thing,
right.
So you're going to think a few here, but in the last few weeks I've been experimenting with Tinder. I'd heard about it for a long time, and when I was married, I wasn't going to do that shit. Holy cow! I'm getting on there, and the first 5 or 6 girls, I'm like, holy cow! Who contact me like, holy cow, they're hot. Next thing I know, they're all like, hey, I've got a cam channel. Hey, I've got a cam channel. Hey, I've got a cam channel. Come and like me and vote me as the best, and we'll hook up later. I'm like, yeah, go fuck yourselves.
It's empowering.
Wow. I'm actually webcamming right now. I've got one client who really likes podcasts. So
well, hey, all power to you there, man. I mean, that's awesome. But it's like, holy shit. I was trying to be legit. But oh well. There's a couple of legit people there.
And you did do the panties for sale thing for a while, didn't you?
I looked into it, but it was really it wasn't worth it.
At least you gave it a go.
Yeah,
yeah, you need to be in Japan to make that worthwhile.
Yeah, there's it's really labor intensive. The price is really actually quite low. It's like $25 for the whole panty plus postage. So you buy the panty, you wear it for a day. That's a day of,
Yeah, but you don't really have to wear it for a day. You could just say you did.
Yeah.
Are they going to send it back? I mean, come on.
I suppose, but I believe in quality control.
Damn it. All right, well, fair enough.
Oh, all right. We'll wrap this up here. I want something real quick. Predictions about Ocean's 8 before we take off.
Oh, is that the one with all the girls?
That's the one with all the girls.
It's going to suck.
Is it going to? Oh, it's going to suck, no doubt about it. But I'm talking about box office receipts. Do we think it's going to be profitable, make a ton of money, or is it? It's going to suck. I know that.
I know. I'm never watching it. I mean,
it's going to go the way of the Ghostbusters reboot with the women.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. DT?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it'll open fairly strong, and then it'll be done. All the women that want to, go girls, go. We'll see it, opening weekend, and then that'll be it. And there was Drudge Report had an article today that basically was asking the question: are there too many female reboots? So I think hopefully it's maybe this will be one of the last. I doubt it, but we can hope.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Have you ever read Vox Day? They always double down. Come on, man. They're not going to.
Well, eventually they'll lose enough money, right?
Nah, it's a religion.
I don't know. Solo lost a lot of money and didn't lose a lot of money.
They're going to keep on doubling down on it because have you seen the news articles? They're saying that it lost money because it was a white man in the lead role.
Right. So I do believe the politics is not going to end.
Yeah.
That's why the first Star Wars did so badly too.
Doc, what do you think? Ocean's 8?
I'm not going to see it. I have no interest. I'm kind of with Mr. Steele on this. I think it's going to do, get its audience for the first 3-4 days, and then it's going to go right in the tank.
Oh.
Yeah, there's nothing appealing to.
Yeah, let's see. It's got Anne Hathaway and Mindy Kaling, so I don't know. It'll make maybe $10.
I know you're not going to go see it. I'm saying, what do you think the gross receipts are going to be?
I don't know what they spent on it, but I'm guessing they'll make a profit of like $10.
Oh, $10. Oh, that's your profit.
Yeah, that's going to be my over.
All right, I will save my prediction for a secret later. At a point.
I got it up here. It says it's $70 million US to make. I don't think that's going to be easy to recover. I mean.
Only 70 million. I mean,
it's sort of. I'm looking at the poster for it now, and it's sort of encouraging that their tagline is "Every con has its pros," as in prostitutes. So
wow.
I don't know. I mean, it's a little.
Well, is Anne Hathaway naked in it? Because if she is, maybe I'll check it out. Because
she's been naked in many other movies, so you can just.
She has.
That's her only non-annoying state is naked.
Yeah, pretty much.
I always confuse her and the Emma Watson girl because they're kind of wafy and.
Well, Emma Watson's ugly though. Anne Hathaway's pretty cute.
You think?
At least well, yeah. Emma Watson's ugly. I've seen pictures of her like without her clothes on. She's nasty.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do recall the. I haven't seen her anything she's been in since Harry Potter, but I was like, yeah, watching that. She's like, she might grow into somebody who might be good looking someday. But I guess I'm wrong.
Kate Blanchett looks terrible in this. I mean, she was hot in that Thor movie.
I'm looking at this.
She was just smoking hot in the Thor movie, and now it's like, what happened?
Oh my
Wait,
goodness!
In the Ocean's 8 movie, she's in it.
Yeah, it looks like, I think that's Kate Blanchett.
It is.
She
It
looks
is.
terrible.
Hey,
She looks like she's drugged out.
She's always been kind of gaunt girl.
But she was really good looking in Thor, though. I mean, wow,
Mm.
she looked great, I thought.
Nah.
So here's something with Ocean's 8. So they're going for this necklace. Why wouldn't you twist this today to make it so you can hack into like some cyber currency vault or something like that? Make it
because you'd lose you'd lose all the female audience.
Yeah, you're right.
Talking firewalls and HTML statements. Yeah.
As soon as we got into that, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, that's another reason why the movie's not going to do well, is because women don't like to see movies about, jewel heists. Okay. Women like to see, rom-coms or, Sex in the City movies, things like that. And guys don't like to watch movies about girls breaking into do jewel heists unless the bitches are naked. So, I don't really see it.
Bunch of girls naked in heels breaking into a vault. I'd pay $5 to see that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be worth the DVD rental. You know what I mean?
It was in a strip club and not in a movie theater.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to end it up here, guys. Thank you for coming on to the show. We will be posting this. I will download the MP3 file and all that. Let's plug all of our stuff. Everybody knows about me. Go to olderbrother.com, assholecconsulting.com. Links and all that are there. Patreon.com/Aaron Clary. And what have you got?
Me? Actually, Mike, you are not the only non-leftist science fiction writer on the planet. One of the 3 books I put out this year is science fiction. The other 2 are disaster fitness and a action novel about stopping terrorism in Paris, which has a foot chase through an underground graveyard. And they're all on AnnSturzinger.com or Amazon. Just look up my name, Ann Sturzinger, STERZINGER, on Amazon.
And we can find you at AnnSturzinger.com as well, correct?
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Doc.
Yeah, you can check out safetyphd.com, safetyphd.com. Hey, any follows I can get on Twitter or on the my YouTube, on the videos and Podbean, that would be appreciated, because not a lot of people follow because it's kind of the niche thing, but I think, or niche or whatever the hell. But as Ann would say, it's pretty interesting stuff, and I get some pretty cool guests. Like I got Danny Woodburn coming on from Seinfeld and stuff like that. So, if people just want to give it a try, and I'd appreciate that. Safetyphd.com.
When are you going to be in South Dakota?
Leave a week from today.
Week from today. Okay, there might be, and you're out there for a week?
A little longer than that. But yeah, my mother-in-law's coming up to watch the house, so everybody listening to this won't try to break in and steal. But yeah, yeah.
All right.
Aaron's like, where are you gonna be? Oh, thanks. Yeah, all this shit you shouldn't give out. But yeah, okay.
Sorry. Well, no, I was just gonna. This might be in the Black Hills the same time you are, so we'll
really?
Meet up and, yeah. Because I'm gonna go. I'm in the Southern Command now, but I'm gonna ride up north into the Cascades, go do some hiking with TJ Martinell. You know him. You did a show with him.
Yeah.
And visit some friends on the way up, and then I'm gonna head east through Wyoming, and once you're in Wyoming, it's like, well, the Black Hills are right there, and then drop down south through Denver and Albany and cut back over to Vegas. So
yeah, just send me a text, when you're out there, because that would be that'd be great.
Cool. Since you are a quitter, there's nothing for you to promote. Just
me?
Yeah.
Blackbrigade.org still up. You can still listen to all the podcasts. Yeah.
Good. You ever revive it?
I've got some ideas rattling around in the old brain pan. We'll see if anything happens.
You gonna hook back up with the man, because DT, man, I love you, and I loved your podcast with just you, but it was so much better with you and him together.
Well, that probably ain't gonna happen. I'll have to disappoint you.
And DT, just so you know, you got a standing invite to the Safety Doc podcast.
Oh, okay.
Anytime, just work through Aaron to get the contact. But yeah, I'd love to have you on because listen to all your stuff. The NFL song that you did, dun 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 dun.
The necessary roughness quote.
Cut that into its own thing. Like it's become my theme song. So I'm like, yes. Yes.
Those are fun. They were fun to put together. Yeah.
The Sounders were awesome.
John Steele.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at John_Steele99, and then there's a link there to my YouTube channel, which I just did a cool live stream with Aaron Cleary here, and I'm gonna be doing more of it now. And you can find I interviewed Ann. I think you were on twice, Ann. I think. So yeah, and I'm going to try to make it more of a weekly thing and have more of a YouTube presence by kind of doing my thing, which is not necessarily me rambling on, but finding other people and asking them questions and getting them to open up.
I told him this last, but I'll tell everyone who's listening. If you want, and there's not that many videos that John has up, but you want to talk about an excellent interviewer and having some very interesting, thought-provoking guests. Go to John's channel. Do you have a tailored URL yet or no?
I think it's the John Steele Show. You can Google it on, but you just go to my Twitter, John_Steele99, and Steele is spelled Steele. And there's a link on my Twitter profile right to my YouTube channel, and you can find everything there.
Cool. All right, Michael Kingswood. You don't have any books or anything, do you?
Yeah, no, and you're right. I'm not the only non-communist science fiction writer, but I do own the domain of noncommunistsciencefiction.com. It redirects to michaelkingswood.com.
Awesome.
But anyway, yeah, I've got a bunch of books up there in science fiction and fantasy, and I also do a podcast. It's Story Time with Michael Kingswood, and where every week I read a story or a portion of a story for promotion and profit's sake. You can find me on Amazon and all the other places, but I prefer you come find me at ssnstorytelling.com is my business name, and if you buy books there, I make 90 to 95% as opposed to 70% from Amazon. Boom.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, well, next week, same bad time, bat channel, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll have the links posted below. Otherwise, thank you very much for being on the show, guys. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
It's been a blast.
Thanks.